Hello there, thrill seekers. Pardon my hair. I have a doctor's appointment later in the day, and I got a bunch of stuff I want to get done, including this video. And I'm just taking care of my hair is not in the cards. I am taking care of not my hair, but Fico. Fico, say hi. But little Fico, he's my sister-in-law's doggy, and I don't know if you can see. Where are you, Ziggy? And there you can see Ziggy back there. So I got two dogs to deal with today. So a bunch of stuff. Anyway, yeah. Trying to get the dogs in the frame, but it's not going to work. So let's give up on that. So recently I was called transphobic on the internet in a very minor place, and it's not a big deal. But I called the guy, Jesus, my hair is really crazy. But I called I'm hair phobic. But I called the guy out on him and made him present his evidence for my supposed transphobia. And the evidence he presented was a tweet I had made, I don't know how many months ago, that said, "I identify as you, my pronouns are," and then in parentheses, "your name here." I know it's not the maybe world-class joke or anything, and I probably won't get hired to be on any sketch comedy late-night show with that joke. But it's clearly a joke based on two things, which is the kind of current trend of announcing your name and your pronouns, and the idea that in Buddhism we are all one. So I am you, you are me, just like John Lennon said in I Am the Walrus, which I think he did on an LSD trip, but then we'll just leave that aside. But anyway, so it's clearly a joke. And it kind of brought to mind the kerfuffle that happened back in 2018 over some statements Ed Brown made at the San Francisco Zen Center. So let's just listen to the statements that Ed Brown made, because there's an audio recording of it at the San Francisco Zen Center that got him into so much trouble.
I also like to let you know, in case you haven't been here to Green Gulch, where the bathrooms are. Excuse me, I've gotten older and I need them more often. So, right over here on this side of the building, there's a building going up perpendicular to Stillwater Hall, and on the side of that building, there's a restroom, which I think is for both sex. And then over on this building that goes out perpendicular on the other side, on the far side of that building, there's a men's room and a women's room. And I don't know that we're particular about who uses which. I think you get to decide for yourself which I don't know about all that stuff anymore. Can't keep up. You figure it out.
Okay, so there you go. The stuff he said was clearly not the least bit transphobic or insulting or belittling to anyone, but this statement he made got him banned for life from the San Francisco Zen Center, and apparently they rescinded that ban for life quickly after they made it. But just the fact that they did it in the first place just goes to show you that things have gone completely triangular or something. I don't know what the phrase is. But this made me I want to talk about something, and I don't want to get lost in the quagmire of talking about transphobia and transgenderism and all that, because that's just an endless black hole that nobody ever emerges from, and no light ever emerges from. And I actually think that's one of the reasons that kind of stuff is so appealing, because there's just no easy resolution that's going to make everybody happy. But when things first started going in that direction, I was really happy about it, because I thought it was unfair that transgender people were always like the butt of every joke, and I was glad when it became unacceptable to make jokes, just to make insulting jokes about transgender people and all that. I used to work for Suicide Girls, and they had a Suicide Girls radio show, and the introduction of it was like a guy saying, "Oh, I don't like these suicide girls." Cause there was suicide girls was like a tattooed. I think it's still around. It's like girls with tattoos and strange haircuts and wild, ways of expressing themselves, doing nude photos. And the radio show started out with this guy saying, "I don't like these suicide girls with their tattoos and their weird hair and whatever." And then a woman's voice comes in and says, "Oh, tranny lover, you just like fake boobs and fake butts and silicone injected lips and blah blah blah." And I just thought, you could have made that point without insulting transgender people. Why do you have to throw in tranny lover in that? But then, of course, everything goes crazy. And as I said, I think a lot of the appeal of that particular issue is that it's just an endless conundrum that you can't untangle. Nobody can ever come up with the answer to that. It's like the answer to Middle East peace, But you're not going to find the answer within the arguments that come up about it. You're not going to argue your way out of that one. And there's so many things like that, and they're very appealing. What I wanted to talk about instead was a trend I see happening quite a lot among Buddhists, especially in America, which is mistaking aggression for compassion. So there's a certain social currency these days in appearing to be a compassionate person, especially if you're a so-called Buddhist. You want everybody to know how wonderful and compassionate you are, and it's a big ego boost. So one of the ways to get social currency from being compassionate is to find an easy target, and especially doing it online in that kind of space where nobody can actually really challenge you face to face, and taking out your aggression on that easy target. So for a brief time, Ed Brown became that easy target. I recently became that easy target. Lots of people become that easy target, usually people a lot more famous. And then everybody piles on, and all the people who pile on will get a certain social credit for being compassionate because they have become the champions of the belittled. I'm going to be the champion of the marginalized people and stand up for them. And usually what you're doing has nothing to do. I'm not saying usually, almost every time what people like this are doing has nothing in the least to do with helping the marginalized people. It doesn't help any marginalized people to ban Ed Brown from San Francisco Zen Center or to call me transphobic for writing a joke on Twitter. How does that help? Don't answer, because I'm not gonna get drawn in to commenters who answer that stuff, because it's nonsense. What it is you are mistaking aggression. I'm not saying you personally, but the people who do this are mistaking aggression for compassion. So we all have a tendency to be aggressive, and this is something that Nishijima Roshi would call when your sympathetic nervous system is in ascendancy. When your sympathetic nervous system is too strong, you have a tendency to become aggressive. And when your parasympathetic nervous system is too strong, you have a tendency to kind of be lackadaisical and whatever, dude, peace and love about everything. That was his explanation. I think it's a reasonably good explanation. I shy away from using that explanation mainly because when I used it early in my career, I got this aggressive response of, "You're not a medical doctor. How can you talk about the nervous system? Only a medical doctor can talk about the nervous system," which is a dumb response. But I got tired of dealing with that dumb response, so I stopped using it. But I think it's true. And I think it's important for Buddhists, if you're going to understand that, and if you're going to try to practice compassion for real, it is important to understand the difference between aggression and compassion. It's important not to use so supposedly compassionate causes as an excuse to be aggressive. And I say this not as somebody who stands on the high holy mountain trying to tell you bad folks how to be. It's because I was like that. I was one of those people, you know. For years I was one of those people who was the aggressive champion of the underdog and marginalized and all this stuff. I mean, look, I was the bass player for Zero Defects, which was the most politically correct band, especially on the scene in Akron, Ohio, in the old hardcore days. But probably even if you compare our stuff to, you know, stuff like Dead Kennedys and stuff, we're right up there with that kind of aggressive, politically correct stance that we took on everything, you know. And I was proudly part of that, and so I think I have a place I can talk about this from, because I had to learn to overcome that tendency to mix up aggression and compassion. And it's when Nishijima Roshi talked about the balance of the autonomic nervous system, this sort of provided me the clue, the in to understand when this happens. And I noticed what happened when I became the righteous defender of the underdog, what happened in my body and mind. And there's a certain kind of feeling, and it's very hard to describe this feeling, but I think all of us who've ever indulged in this it is an indulgence. It really is. This because it feels good. You know, it feels righteous, and it makes you have this kind of swell of just like, ooh, I'm so good. I'm gonna do the good thing, and it's me. I'm doing the good thing. Look at me, how good I am. That feeling that swells up. And when I say feeling, it is a particular feeling that I've learned to recognize. And feelings are impossible to describe, so I'm not going to try to describe the feeling itself. Just I'm throwing some words at the canvas to see if they might help understand that feeling. So it's a particular feeling when your nervous system starts to go out of balance, and it will feel like, yeah, you know. And that's one of the problems with it, is it gives you such a kind of, I don't know if it's dopamine or what, it gives you this like hit of some kind of hormones or something. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not a medical doctor, as many people have pointed out. So I can't tell you what it is, but I do think it has a lot to do with the nervous system just firing off, that sympathetic nervous system just going, aggressing, you know. And it feels really great. Maybe there's testosterone involved. I don't really know. But it feels really, really great. And that's the thing I've learned to stay away from. I don't say that I'm always the best at it, and I don't say that I can do it every single time, but I do it a lot better now than I used to, which is I start to feel that unbalance of the nervous system come up and go, and I go, okay, this isn't maybe where I should be putting my energies, and then I'll try to get it back into balance. The balance on the other side, the balance towards the parasympathetic nervous system, which feels really beautiful, is the other problem. And I don't really want to make this a video about both of them. I want to make it a video about the one, you know, the sympathetic nervous system, and mistaking compassion for aggression, or aggression for compassion. Anyway, whatever. But there is the other thing that's another thing that Buddhists will tend to fall into. They get way too into the parasympathetic nervous system, and they're just blissed out, and everything's wonderful, and, you know, angels are singing and choirs are, well, you know, whatever, I don't know. But you get too much into that, and then that's also no good. So the thing is to find the balance. And if you find yourself kind of, you know, going after the easy target, you know, that everybody's piling on, you know, the person who's just I don't know, belittling is the word, or mocking. These are the two words I see the most. And you have to go after that. maybe it's good to take a step back. And I think it's also good to remember there's plenty of other people who are going to do that. So you don't have to worry about lending it's just a dog pile. You don't have to be another dog on the pile because there's already plenty of dogs on the pile. And the problem, if there is really a problem, will deal with itself. I don't have to. This is what I tell myself. I don't have to pile on that dog pile. So that's it. Yeah, just knowing the difference between aggression and compassion is really important. And just because your aggression is directed at a good target, an approved, socially approved target, doesn't mean it's not aggression. It's still aggression, and it's still an expression of aggression, and it's still something that I think as Buddhists we should be aware of, and we should try to learn to take a step back from. So there's my message of the day. And if you want to tell me that I'm a transphobe or whatever in the comments section, I'll just answer you with what Nishijima Roshi used to say. He used to say, "You have the freedom to be wrong." So you have the freedom to be wrong if you want, and that's fine. If you get too aggressive, I'll start deleting the comments, but other than that, I'll just let you go wild. Anyway, if you want to donate to me after hearing that, to this transphobic guy, you can go to the URL that you were seeing on the screen below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you will find links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts. Those are my main ways of making a living, and I appreciate your support, but as always, you don't gotta support me if you don't want to support me. And as I've been saying, I'll be in Bozeman, Montana next week if they don't ban me for life for this video. And you can find information about where and when on hardcorezen.info/events. So that's where you will find the information about that. All right, we will see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye. Ziggy and FICO, what do you think about aggression and compassion? You guys sometimes get aggressive and bark at things like cats and squirrels and things like that you get really excited about. But you can be compassionate too. I've seen both of you be compassionate, so that's really nice. All right, we'll talk to you later, doggies. Bye.